Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a controversy that's shaking up the British political scene. The appointment of Sue Gray as Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff and the ongoing allegations of nepotism surrounding her role. This issue has been covered extensively in the media recently and is becoming a significant headache for the new Labour government. But what's all the fuss about? Let's start by breaking down the key points and then dive deeper into the political ramifications for Starmer and the Labour Party as they settle into government. At the heart of the controversy is Sue Gray's salary. Reports have surfaced that Gray, the former civil servant who investigated the Partygate scandal, is now earning £170,000 a year in a new role as Starmer's Chief of Staff. This makes her salary higher than the Prime Minister's, with Starmer himself earning roughly £167,000 annually. Now, the salary disparity may not be like a big deal at first glance, but it's important to understand the broader context. Sue Gray played a pivotal role in investigating the lockdown parties at Downing Street under then Prime Minister Boris Johnson, leading to Johnson's resignation. Her switch from a civil service role to a top political position under Starmer was controversial from the start, with some seeing it as a breach of the civil service's traditionally impartial stance. And now, with her high salary in the spotlight, the criticism is intensifying. Many are questioning why Gray, an unelected official, is being paid more than the head of the government himself. The optics here are damaging, particularly for Starmer, who came to power promising transparency and good governance. The issue goes deeper than just salary. There are growing concerns about Sue Gray's influence in Starmer's government as well. According to some reports, Gray is seen by insiders as a de facto deputy prime minister involved in nearly every major decision. And this has led to accusations that she holds too much power for someone in her position, especially considering her recent transition from a civil service role to a key political figure. And critics are accusing Starmer of allowing Gray to become too central to his government, essentially making her his right-hand person without the accountability or oversight that comes with an elected position. And this is where the allegations of nepotism come in. Starmer's critics argue that his appointment of Gray and the power she now wields contradicts his promise to end the backroom deals and cronyism that they say defined the Conservative government under Boris Johnson. And Starmer has long campaigned against what he described as the lack of transparency in the Tory government. But now, with Gray's prominent role and hefty salary, his opponents are suggesting that Starmer is guilty of the very same practices he condemned when Labour was in opposition. It's not just political opponents who are concerned. There is reportedly frustration brewing within the government itself. Several advisors and officials who worked for Starmer when Labour was in opposition have seen their salaries decrease since Labour took power in July 24. And while Sue Gray's salary has surged, many others have been given pay cuts as the government's payroll has shifted from party management to being managed by the state. And this pay gap has caused tension among Starmer's team, especially since Sue Gray as Chief of Staff is now seen as one of the most influential figures in the administration. Some have privately voiced concerns that Gray's influence and elevated position could undermine other key figures within the Labour government. For a party that campaigned on a platform of fairness and equality, those internal divisions over pay and power distribution are creating friction, and they risk overshadowing the Labour government's early months in office. But let's take a moment to look at Sue Gray's background, which is crucial to understanding why her current position is so controversial. Gray rose to prominence as a senior civil servant in the Cabinet Office, where she led the high-profile investigation into the Partygate scandal, as I said. And her investigation into the illegal lockdown parties at 10 Downing Street revealed deep failures in leadership and contributed to the eventual downfall of Boris Johnson. After the investigation, Sue Gray was lauded for her impartiality and her tough, no-nonsense approach to exposing the truth. So when it was announced that she would be joining Starmer's team in a political role, it raised eyebrows. For some, it appeared as though she was crossing the line from civil servant to political operator, undermining the neutrality that civil servants are supposed to maintain. And this move has now become a focal point for criticism, as Gray's transition to a political position and her influence in Starmer's government are being viewed as problematic by those who see it as a consolidation of power in unelected hands. The controversy over Sue Gray's role also highlights a bigger problem for Prime Minister Keir Starmer. One of Starmer's central campaign promises was to clean up British politics, ending nepotism, ensuring transparency, and restoring trust in government. However, this incident is beginning to tarnish that image. Starmer had previously been a vocal critic of the Conservative government, accusing them of operating in close privileged circle. But now, Starmer is being accused of similar behavior, accepting expensive gifts such as designer clothing and VIP tickets to football matches from wealthy donors. His wife Victoria also came under scrutiny for not declaring expensive donations on time. And this creates a dangerous narrative for Starmer, one in which he's not so different from his predecessors after all. If this perception takes hold, it could severely undermine the public's trust in Labour's promises of fairness and transparency. The media has played a significant role in amplifying this controversy. Newspapers and broadcasters have seized on the salary issue and Gray's role as Chief of Staff, painting a picture of a government already mired into internal disputes and accusations of hypocrisy. While the BBC was the first to report the salary issue, other outlets have followed suit, highlighting concerns over Sue Gray's rise in pay and her reported influence over nearly every major issue the government faces. But how is the public reacting to this? As Labour settles into power, the early months are crucial in shaping the public's perception of the government. And with the parliamentary elections fresh in people's minds, this controversy could affect the honeymoon period that most new governments enjoy. If voters begin to see Starmer's government as just more of the same, more elitism, more cronyism, then it could severely damage Labour's credibility moving forward. So what does this all mean for the Labour government as they move forward? Let's call it Sue Gray controversy represents a significant early test for Keir Starmer. How he responds will be key in determining whether the story continues to dominate the news cycle or if it fades away. Starmer's government is in a position of strength, having just won the election, but controversies like this can quickly erode trust. Starmer will need to find a way to manage the narrative, whether that's through greater transparency, adjusting Gray's role, or clarifying her salary and the reasons behind it. The opposition will be eager to capitalize on any signs of hypocrisy or mismanagement. So in conclusion, the controversy surrounding Sue Gray's appointment, her salary, and the accusation of nepotism is shaping up to be one of the biggest early tests for Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his Labour government. As media reports continue to scrutinize Gray's role and influence, Starmer will have to walk a fine line between defending his Chief of Staff and maintaining the public's trust in his administration. We'll be following this story closely as it develops, so make sure that you stay tuned for updates. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content on the latest in UK politics. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video, which is right here on the end screen.